Right, okay. Hi guys, how are you? How are you? I hope you're all well, and today I have a new video for you. Someone asked me what are the biggest mistakes that I have made, and I thought, you know what, this is actually fun subject for a short fun video, and today I will share these mistakes with you. I wouldn't say they are the biggest or like they weren't anything super serious, luckily, but they might be fun for you to listen to. So I've got my notes here, I've got my phone, and I've written them down so I would remember, and I wanted to tell you about them. So I think the biggest mistake that I've made, and the thing that wasn't smart at all to do, was when I was still using Dremel, pendant motor for polishing, and this motor doesn't have a foot control, so you're not using your foot to control the speed, and you can't turn it off just like that. You have to do it manually, reaching out and turning it off on the actual motor. And I was using a flex shaft in my hand to do stuff over here. And the worst thing that I decided to do, and I would never recommend doing it, was to polish a chain. To polish a chain that can be so easily caught by a tool that's spinning so fast. I don't know where I got this idea from. For a second, my brain was probably just malfunctioning, but for some reason I decided to do it, and guess what? How could that end? Like, what was I expecting was gonna happen? Obviously, for the first second, it was all right. I don't remember exactly how I was holding the chain, but I think I had it stretched on maybe like a ring clamp, or maybe on my bench peg. Don't remember exactly. That part is not important. What's important is that I was using those abrasive discs, and I was using the one for polishing, and obviously high speed. Again, I was polishing the chain for a few seconds, and then it got caught on the rotary tool, started spinning everywhere, started hitting the bench. At that time I was still using my white IKEA table as my bench, so it started hitting that bench. Some like bits and pieces started flying over, like around the room. Jarek got scared. I'm really glad that nothing has hit him nor myself, and it was so scary. And because you're scared, and especially you're not an experienced maker, that was very beginning for me. So for a second there, you know, you're like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, then your mind is, you have to turn it off. Just a thought. So obviously I reached out to turn it off, but it's just so scary because you're still holding this, like around you, this handpiece with spinning chain on it. So I turned it off and it was all good, but I will never forget the feeling that I had. I think that contributed to me being super cautious and careful while I work because of this stupid mistake, like absolutely stupid. So the lesson here is never ever use your rotary tool to polish chain or anything like that. There are other ways to do it, which I will be sharing in the next videos, so stay tuned to watch that, but never do that with a rotary tool. Okay, next mistake. This one is pretty common, I would say. I'm sure like most of us did that. Not planning enough space on silver. So when you are, for example, planning to use a certain amount of silver and you're trying to plan where you're gonna arrange your elements and stone, and for some reason you will plan too little because you want to be saving, for example, sometimes you might actually ruin the whole thing. Obviously you can still make it work by not adding those elements that you wanted to add in the first place. But then, is it still the same idea that you had before? I mean, it's still a nice jewelry piece, but I'm sure we've all been there where we were just really disappointed because there was no going back. We couldn't just scrap it and start all over again. We had to finish that thing, and we had to give up on certain elements that were supposed to go around. So just as a visual, imagine that there's like, you're trying to set this necklace, and imagine that you wanted to add some bits and bobs on two sides, but you didn't leave enough space. So obviously there's still ways to go around it. You can, you know, still find solution how to add these bits. But speaking of one piece of silver, if you wanted to have everything flat on the other side and no additional elements attached to it, but just have it in one place, then yeah, planning enough space is something that I am definitely doing now, and always trying to even leave a little bit too much, because you're not really going to save a lot, like with few millimeters here and there, but you can actually save your idea. Another one, again, ordering a cheap gemstones to save money, ending up with unusable gems and lost money. So again, I think many of these things are connected to money and saving and trying to budget and trying to be as mindful as possible with things that you're using, because you don't want to be wasting anything. And that could be a trap when it's about ordering gemstones. So this is the mindset I had to change in me, that in the beginning I would be really excited seeing that someone sells cheap gemstones, and you know, I'd be able to get them because they're inexpensive and whole lots of them. But then as you go along, you start talking to other makers, they start sharing their tips with you, and with your own experience you start noticing that cheap stones don't sell, and oftentimes it's the stone that is the main focus of your jewelry, right? Like this pendant, for example. There are some details below, but it's actually the stone that's making this pendant. So chipped stone, damaged, broken, scratched, not polished enough. You can see, like, after dealing with many gemstones, you have the ability to see, even on the photo, if the stone is actually usable to you. I've learned so much from other makers. I have this series linked below, but apart from tips, apart from things that someone says to you, your own experience will also probably confirm all of that. And also you will see with your own two eyes that essentially it's better to get nice quality gemstones, because even if you're paying more for these gemstones and you get less for more money, you are able to make beautiful things and charge more for beautiful quality jewelry. And yeah, because customers, like, you have to give them credit that they can see that, even if they don't realize what it is that makes them like your jewelry or not like it, like not so much. Maybe if they can't put their finger on it, like they don't know that it's the gemstone that's not looking nice, they have this feeling, they have this impression, and they can tell that the jewelry is like, not good. So yeah, I just really think that it's important to check the quality of gemstones and don't be tempted with very cheap prices for a lot of gemstones. It's better to buy less but a very good quality. Okay, well, another one. Soldering elements that... What? I know what I meant, but I'm not gonna read this because you won't know what I mean. So this one is about soldering, that when you want to have elements, you have to solder them properly. And ideally, your metal shape should be an even and one body of silver. I don't know if you can say that, but essentially you shouldn't have unsecured joints, and definitely do not bend your silver in the place of the joint. So where it is joined, don't make this as a place of bending, because obviously that's gonna break, and it might sound absolutely obvious to many of you, but some of us didn't know that when we started. So in case you might be a person that needs this reminder, just wanted to let you know that this is a mistake that I did. I didn't sell anything like that, but it was one of those scrap pieces that I used to learn, and I was so frustrated because I couldn't attach it, and then I would bend it and it would break. And it was meant to, by the way, because I think it's because I didn't know how prong setting actually worked. So I think I was trying to recreate something like prong setting, and I didn't understand that you can't just solder it to something and then bend it. So that's one of the things. Another one, well, pretty much self-explanatory. Different burns, grabbing the soldered and hot metal with my hands. It was before I got this, flow with and my process with making jewelry, and I've learned that there are certain things you have to always remember, which is mostly about protective equipment. I would have this like a brain error again, that I would stop soldering something and I would just go with my bare hand and grab it. And I burned myself badly. So yeah, maybe try to avoid that. Try to avoid touching hot metal with your bare hands. And that goes for polishing too, because when you're sanding, polishing, using rotary tool, the metal can get super hot, like burning hot. And you can, burn your fingernails, fingertips. Fingernails too, if you go really crazy. But yeah, you have to be very careful with that. Another one, yeah, definitely again about protective equipment. So I was melting silver. I wanted to make a silver ball, and I wasn't wearing any eyewear. Very, very big mistake, because I could have lost an eye, which is horrible to think about now, and I hate to go back to this memory. I haven't really shared that with anyone because it felt like, how on earth could I do that? But sometimes, again, brain error, you just go with the flow, you forget about things, you're distracted. So that's very important thing, you guys. Always wear eyewear and be careful. So I was melting the silver. I wanted to make a silver ball, and a silver bubbled or like did something, and pieces of the silver, like hot melted silver, jumped in the air and obviously for some reason I was just way too close. I was almost above that, and the way it jumped, it just missed my face. Very close call. Oh, I hate to think about it, really. But yeah, eyewear is one of the most important things you can do, and that was one of the worst mistakes that I made. And another one, oh yeah, when fitting stones into the bezel. So let's say you just finished making a bezel and you soldered it onto the back plate. So you have a back plate and you have a bezel nicely soldered on, and now you just want to double check the fit. And the back plate is closed, so you don't have any space in here to push the stone out of it. So it's on the back plate. And what I did, obviously, I just put the stone in it, and that's it. I wasn't able to take it out. So the easy way around it, an easy tip, is to put floss over that bezel. So when you put the stone inside, you just grab the floss and you take it out. and no problem with that. So yeah, don't try to fit your stones into bezels before everything's finished without having this floss or a cord, something in there that will help you to take the stone out, because otherwise you'll probably end up scrapping the silver or breaking the stone, depending which one was more precious to you, and you'll have to start over. So always fit your stone with floss in there so you can take it out. And yeah, I think that's all. The last one would be probably just hitting yourself unnecessarily when hammering. With every job, when you're making silver or gold jewelry, like smithing, every job requires 100% of your attention, and sometimes 300. Depends on what you're doing and how dangerous that job is. But yeah, you just can't let yourself get distracted. And sometimes when I was allowing myself to work crazy hours, I was still trying to find this balance and my workflow, and I was still realizing that I need time to rest. At that time I would work crazy hours and way too long, and I would get distracted while working. My mind would be, especially if that was a repetitive job, my brain would just switch off. My thoughts would wander, and I would hit myself. And it's no joke. It might sound like an insignificant thing, but again, your hands are your most important tool, and you can't damage them, because then you can't work, or it might be even more serious. You might really hurt yourself. So always pay 100% attention to what you're doing, and when hammering something with a steel hammer that's heavy, just protect those fingers. Ideally wear something protective on your fingers. Don't go just bare hands, but if you have to, if you need this type of precision that you really need to have your bare hands in there, just focus 100% and don't hurt yourself. So yeah, I think that's all. I couldn't remember other ones. I'm sure there was loads, but I just don't remember them right now because it's been a while and I didn't think about writing them down. So I mostly just remember those that really hurt me or I got really, really scared. Was I talking for that long? Because I ran out of space on my camera, so I had to make some space to finish this video. So what was I saying? Yeah, that I just remember mostly those that really scared me or hurt me, and yeah, obviously you will remember those, but I'm sure there are others, so if I remember them, I'll try to include them in one of the next videos again, maybe in a vlog, but yeah. The main thing that I want you to take out of this video is to know that we all make mistakes and you shouldn't be ashamed of it. Maybe write them down so you can remember them and reflect on them in the future, or not. I mean, if you want to just push out something out of your mind, then that's fine too. Do what makes you most happy, but just be very, very careful. And yeah, thanks so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this little chatty video again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
The dust of Mars and the taste of loss.